Have you ever noticed a man who's completely at ease around you, laughing, comfortable, even relying on you, but the respect you deserve never comes? Today, we're uncovering the hidden reason why safety alone can't earn respect and how subtle energy changes everything. Safety doesn't equal respect, and yet it's one of the most overlooked dynamics in relationships, in workplaces, in friendships, and even in family life. It's a pattern that repeats itself over and over again. A man feels comfortable, he feels safe, he feels understood, and in that comfort, something shifts. The very thing that should be building admiration and appreciation often does the opposite. Why? Because respect is not a product of convenience or ease. It is a product of boundaries, of presence, of challenge, of authenticity. When someone feels safe around you, it means they are not threatened, that there's no risk, that your energy is predictable, your reactions manageable, and your behavior soft enough that it doesn't push against their comfort zone. Safety is important, yes, but it is passive. It is something anyone can provide if they are agreeable enough, if they are yielding enough, if they are yielding enough, if they are accommodating enough. Respect, on the other hand, is active. Respect is earned when someone sees you as a force they cannot take for granted, as a presence that requires attention, as a person who has standards that are not negotiable simply for their ease or comfort. When a man feels safe but doesn't respect you, it is often because safety alone lacks challenge, lacks intrigue, lacks the subtle tension that the human mind unconsciously craves in order to elevate someone in status. Safety allows him to relax, to lower his guard, to exist without effort, but respect requires that he lift himself, that he engage, that he acknowledge your internal value and the weight of your standards. The paradox is striking. You can give all the warmth, all the reassurance, all the comfort in the world, and still be met with casual dismissal, with disregard, with an undercurrent of taken for grantedness. Men are wired to subconsciously calibrate who deserves respect based on the energy they perceive, the unspoken boundaries they encounter, and the sense of effort it takes to earn attention or approval. If he walks into a space you've created where he feels safe and unchallenged, he will often not feel the need to elevate himself to meet your energy, and therefore the admiration and respect that comes from recognizing another person's inner force remains absent. This is not about being cold or distant. It's about understanding that respect is not a byproduct of comfort. It is a byproduct of presence. When a man respects someone, he recognizes their consistency, their integrity, their unwillingness to bend for convenience, their ability to hold standards without apology. Safety can be passive, respect cannot. The energy you carry, the subtle cues you emit in posture, tone, word choice, and reaction all signal to him whether he needs to elevate himself or whether he can coast without consequence. In the absence of those cues, safety alone creates a lull. He relaxes, he leans back, he smiles, he enjoys, but he does not rise. He does not measure, he does not honor. He simply exists within your presence without engaging with the deeper truth of who you are. And this is the critical distinction that many women overlook. The very behaviors that make a man feel safe, empathy, attentiveness, agreement, can inadvertently lower the level of respect he feels, because he subconsciously perceives no challenge, no effort, no real consequence to his actions. Men respect women who make them work, even subtly, because effort creates value, and value creates recognition. When you exist in a way that is too soft, too yielding, too predictable, you unintentionally invite familiarity that erodes the edge of respect. Safety feels good, it feels easy, but it does not elevate status. It does not invoke admiration. It does not create the dynamic tension that signals, without words, that you are worthy of regard. Another way to look at it is through the lens of energy. Safe energy is neutral energy. It soothes, it comforts, it is consistent, but it is rarely commanding. Commanding energy, on the other hand, naturally inspires attention, naturally inspires respect, naturally sets boundaries that others instinctively acknowledge. When a man feels safe but respect is missing, it is often because he has not experienced that energy from you. He has not encountered the subtle signs of sovereignty, the quiet demonstration of self-respect, the unspoken assertion of value that tells him, without confrontation, that you are not simply there for his convenience. Respect arises when he senses that your world is complete without him, that your approval is not automatic, that your attention is not a given. Safety alone lacks these components. It is the cushion, the easy chair in the corner, the welcoming smile, the nod of agreement. It is nurturing, yes, but nurturing without boundaries does not challenge him, and in the absence of challenge, he may appreciate you, enjoy your presence, even rely on your support, but the deep-seated recognition that creates respect does not develop. And this is where so many relationships falter, so many dynamics plateau, and so many people feel unseen despite the comfort they provide. The human psyche, particularly in men, responds to status cues, to effort, to consequence. When a man feels safe but does not respect, it is often because the cues of worthiness, the signals of high value, are missing or diluted. He does not feel the need to step up because there is no evidence that stepping up is required. Safety without standards creates passivity. Safety without presence creates familiarity that erodes esteem. Safety without boundaries creates dependency without admiration. Women who wish to cultivate respect must understand that comfort is not the goal. Influence is. Safety is merely the gateway, not the destination. It is the soil in which the seeds of respect can grow. But if the soil is left untended, if it is too soft, if it is too easy, those seeds will not sprout. He may linger, he may enjoy, he may feel warm inside, but the recognition of your inner authority, your unshakable standards, your subtle power, these are the things that generate respect. The moment you understand this, your approach to interaction shifts. You no longer equate friendliness or ease with influence. You no longer confuse comfort with elevation. You recognize that safety is neutral energy and respect is active energy. You cultivate presence. You cultivate boundaries. You cultivate subtle challenge. And in doing so, you create a dynamic in which he cannot help but recognize your value. And here's the nuance that is often overlooked. You do not need to be harsh. You do not need to be aggressive. You do not need to impose your will. Respect is not won through confrontation. It is won through consistency, through integrity, through the quiet insistence that your energy is not negotiable. He may feel safe, he may feel understood, he may feel comforted, but if he does not also feel the edge of your presence, he will stop short of honoring the fullness of your being. Safety makes him comfortable, respect makes him rise, and the two are rarely the same. The distinction is subtle but profound, and it is the key to understanding why men can feel entirely secure yet still withhold respect. It is not a failure of the man, nor is it a failure of you. It is a failure of misalignment between the energy you project and the energy required to invoke admiration. Understanding this difference is the first step toward mastering your influence. Once you recognize that safety is merely a baseline, a prerequisite for deeper connection, you begin to shift how you operate. You stop seeking to soothe him into respect and start cultivating yourself into a presence that commands it naturally. The paradox of human dynamics is that the more comfortable someone feels, the less they may respect you, unless you consciously create the energy that inspires esteem. Safety is passive, respect is active. Safety is neutral, respect is earned. Safety is given, respect is acknowledged. And the moment you internalize this, you start noticing patterns everywhere, in friendships, in romantic relationships, in professional interactions, where men feel at ease, yet fail to elevate you in their perception, where they relax into your presence, but do not step up to honor it, and where the subtle, invisible cues of value and boundaries are the difference between being liked and being revered, between being tolerated and being admired, between being safe and being respected. It is a distinction that changes everything about the way you move, speak, and hold yourself. It is a principle that separates influence from familiarity, command from comfort, presence from passivity. Safety is the stage, respect is the performance, and the world rarely rewards only the stage without the performance. This is why women who wish to inspire admiration, who wish to cultivate the kind of presence that men instinctively respect, must understand that comfort is not the endpoint. it is the starting point. From that foundation, boundaries are drawn, energy is projected, consistency is maintained, and subtle challenge is delivered. Not through words, not through force, but through the quiet, unshakable demonstration of your own standards, your own presence, and your own internal authority. He may feel safe, he may feel secure, he may even feel loved, but unless he perceives the full weight of your value, the respect will remain incomplete. Safety sets the scene, respect writes the story, and the woman who understands this becomes the director of both, commanding attention, admiration, and influence without ever demanding it, without ever apologizing for her presence, without ever confusing comfort with elevation. The power of silent influence is one of the most underestimated forces in human dynamics, and yet it is the invisible engine behind the respect that men instinctively give when they encounter a woman who understands her own energy. Silent influence is not about loud declarations. It is not about demands or ultimatums. It is not about proving or performing for anyone. It is the subtle, almost imperceptible way a woman carries herself, sets her standards, and projects her presence in a way that commands acknowledgement without ever asking for it. The men who recognize this energy respond to it naturally because it signals autonomy, consistency, and inner authority. Silent influence is often mistaken for aloofness or distance, but in reality, it is the deliberate cultivation of presence that speaks louder than any words. Men respect women who do not bend for approval, who do not chase validation, and who do not offer themselves as easily attainable simply because someone is comfortable. This is why men can feel safe around a woman, yet still withhold deep respect if her energy lacks silent authority. The key to understanding this lies in recognizing that influence is energy-based, not word-based. A man may hear confident words, but if the energy behind them is inconsistent, tentative, or overly accommodating, he will not feel compelled to elevate his perception of her. On the other hand, when a woman embodies her energy quietly, consistently, and with unshakable standards, the respect she commands is immediate and lasting. Silent influence works because it triggers an internal process in men. It engages their perception of value. It subtly challenges their assumptions, and it creates a magnetic pull that does not rely on external validation. A man may not even consciously understand why he feels drawn to or compelled to respect a woman who embodies this energy. He simply feels it. He instinctively senses that she is not defined by his approval, that her presence is complete without him, and that engaging with her requires acknowledgement of her standards. This recognition of energy is primal, rooted in the way humans assess social hierarchies and status. Words can persuade, but energy commands. The most influential women in history, in culture, and personal relationships have understood this principle intuitively. They do not need to assert their authority loudly. It is felt in their posture, in their gaze, in the way they respond, in the timing of their words, in the restraint of their reactions, in the boundaries they uphold without drama. Every micro-movement, every pause, every deliberate action contributes to a signal that says, I am present, I am grounded, and I will not compromise my standards for convenience. This is the essence of silent influence. One of the most powerful aspects of silent influence is that it creates a magnetic dynamic where respect is earned naturally rather than demanded. Men respond to women who make their presence felt without chasing attention because it activates a sense of worth that cannot be bypassed. When a woman operates from silent influence, she removes the need for approval-seeking behavior, which often diminishes respect. She does not negotiate her value. She does not beg for validation. She does not soften her energy to make someone else comfortable. She holds her center, and in doing so, she invites admiration without creating dependency. Silent influence also thrives in the space of mystery and restraint. Men are instinctively drawn to what they cannot fully grasp, what is not entirely available, what requires perception and attention to truly understand. When a woman moves with quiet confidence, when she maintains her standards without apology, when she allows her actions to speak louder than her words, she generates a form of respect that is deeper, more authentic, and more enduring than anything that can be verbally negotiated. This is why men can feel safe, yet still fall short of respect. They have not yet experienced the subtle challenge of silent influence. They may enjoy her warmth, her kindness, her attentiveness, but without the cues of autonomy, consistency, and unyielding presence, the admiration remains incomplete. Silent influence is not about manipulation or strategy. It is about alignment with self. It is about understanding that your energy is your most powerful communication tool. Every interaction, every look, every gesture carries information that is absorbed subconsciously by those around you. Men pick up on signals of strength, consistency, and self-possession, and respond accordingly. A woman who masters silent influence does not need to articulate her value. It is understood instinctively. This energy also impacts decision-making in subtle but profound ways. When a man encounters silent influence, he finds himself adjusting his behavior without realizing it. He speaks more thoughtfully, he listens more attentively, he honors boundaries he might otherwise overlook. This is the transformative effect of silent influence. It changes the dynamic without confrontation. It elevates the interaction without debate. It commands respect without entitlement. Another crucial component of silent influence is timing. It is not just what is communicated, but when and how it is communicated. Pauses, measured responses, deliberate presence all contribute to an energy that signals control, maturity, and self-respect. Men respond to timing intuitively. It is a rhythm that speaks to the subconscious mind, indicating that this woman operates from her own internal compass rather than external pressures. Silent influence also allows a woman to protect her energy while still engaging meaningfully. By not overextending, by not overexplaining, by not bending unnecessarily, she maintains the integrity of her presence. This conservation of energy is not selfish, it is strategic because it ensures that respect is not diluted by accessibility or overfamiliarity. Men respond to restraint in a way they do not respond to constant availability. The less a woman chases, the more her presence is noticed. The less she needs approval, the more her approval is valued. The essence of silent influence is that it transforms ordinary interactions into exercises of recognition and acknowledgement. Every conversation becomes a demonstration of presence. Every engagement a subtle reminder of her boundaries, her energy, and her unspoken standards. Men cannot help but respond when they sense that they are in the orbit of someone who values herself without compromise. It is a quiet force, yet it is irresistible. And it works across all areas of life, personal relationships, professional settings, social dynamics, because human psychology is consistent in its response to energy and authority. Silent influence does not require domination, intimidation, or aggression. It requires self-awareness, intentionality, and consistency. It requires understanding that your presence itself is a message, and that the subtleties of how you hold yourself, how you respond, and how you manage your energy are infinitely more impactful than anything you could say aloud. Men respect a woman who is complete without them, who is deliberate in her actions, who upholds standards without apology, who moves through the world with quiet confidence, and who communicates more with her energy than with her words. This is the power of silent influence. It generates respect effortlessly, naturally, and sustainably. It is the kind of influence that does not fade, that does not rely on temporary gestures, and that does not require reinforcement. It is internalized by those who experience it, leaving a lasting impression that transcends superficial interactions. Silent influence is the art of being fully present, fully grounded, fully sovereign, and allowing that presence to speak for itself, to command respect, and to shape the way others perceive, engage, and respond without a single word of coercion or demand.